Think about the last thing you tapped by on using your phone. You probably didn't even think twice about it, right? Well, in this explainer, we're going to unpack the massive, invisible gears turning beneath that simple little click. We hear the term e-commerce thrown around literally everywhere, in the news, in business meetings, but we rarely stop to actually analyze what makes it tick. Today, we're stripping it down to the studs. We're going to prove why this revolution is honestly just getting started. We'll look at the exact tech, those structural superpowers, and the historical shifts that brought us to this deeply interconnected digital age. Okay, let's dive right into our roadmap. We're going to cover exactly what e-commerce is, the technological building blocks behind it, 8 totally unique features that give it such incredible power, how it evolved historically, and finally, why this revolution literally just began. Section 1. What is e-commerce? Defining the boundaries. We really got to start by clearing up some of that common buzzword confusion, just so we know exactly what we're analyzing today. So here's the absolute crucial point. E-commerce requires an actual exchange of value, usually money, across organizational or individual boundaries. Whether you're downloading a paid app, buying a physical book, or maybe a massive factory is bulk ordering raw steel from a supplier online. If money changes hands across a digital network, that is the defining hallmark. That's e-commerce. Now, let's contrast this directly with another buzzword you hear all the time, e-business. While e-commerce is all about that external transaction, e-business is purely about your internal digital operations. Think about it this way. If a company uses a digital network to manage its HR or uses software to track supply chain logistics strictly inside its own warehouses, absolutely no commercial value is being exchanged with the outside world. That's e-business. Sure, it makes the company vastly more efficient, but it's not generating revenue directly through an external transaction. Imagine a distinct boundary line drawn right around a company. Inside that boundary, e-business systems are running the show. Your inventory, your HR, your logistics. But the exact moment a digital transaction crosses that boundary to interact with a supplier or a customer, boom, an exchange of value takes place. The technological infrastructure of the internet is that vital bridge making the crossing possible. It literally turns e-business into e-commerce. Moving right along to Section 2, the technological building blocks. This is the DNA of the digital economy. Now that we've set our boundaries, let's look at the foundational infrastructure making all of this possible. There are 3 core elements that make up this technological DNA. First up, the internet. This provides the underlying plumbing, basically a worldwide network of computer networks built on universal standards. Sitting right on top of that is the World Wide Web. This is an information storage system giving us access to trillions of HTML pages. And yeah, that includes the massive deep web of databases and private networks that regular search engines can't even see. Finally, we have mobile platforms, smartphones, tablets. These have completely untethered us, providing sheer, uninterrupted accessibility right from the palms of our hands, literally anywhere we go. But as mobile usage completely skyrockets, it forces us to ask this absolutely critical question. Will apps make the open web irrelevant? You know, apps provide these incredibly smooth, dedicated user experiences tailored specifically for mobile hardware. But at the same time, the web remains the ultimate open, interconnected repository of human knowledge and commerce. So how these two platforms coexist, or compete, or maybe even merge, is going to heavily dictate how businesses build their digital presence over the next few years. Okay, let's jump into Section 3, 8 unique technological features. Think of these as the superpowers of e-commerce. These aren't just fancy marketing terms. They represent a fundamental shift in how global markets actually operate. It's really fascinating how these 8 distinct features sort of radiate outward from the digital shopping cart, completely redefining the consumer experience. We've got things like ubiquity and global reach, meaning commerce is suddenly everywhere, instantly crossing borders. Universal standards lower the barrier to entry globally, while information density brings, well, total press transparency. Add in interactivity, social technology, personalization, and richness, and you've completely changed the rules of the whole retail game. When you put traditional retail head-to-head with e-commerce, it's pretty obvious why physical stores struggle to keep up. Traditional commerce ties you to a physical building during specific hours, right? But e-commerce offers true ubiquity. It's available 24/7 wherever you can grab a cell signal. Historically, businesses had to choose between reaching a massive audience with a super simple message or a tiny audience with a highly complex one. Well, e-commerce shatters that trade-off entirely. It delivers incredibly rich, complex multimedia to millions of people simultaneously. It's a real game changer. And this shift in personalization, it's a monumental leap. Think about it. A traditional brick-and-mortar store treats pretty much everyone who walks through the front door exactly the same. But an e-commerce platform, it can dynamically alter the products you see, the prices you're offered, and the exact marketing message delivered to you based entirely on your past clicks, your location, and your specific individual interests. It takes us from being just passive consumers to highly targeted, interactive participants. Moving to Section 4, the evolution of e-commerce, a historical timeline. To truly grasp where we're heading, we really need to map out how this tech matured, from a kind of clunky invention into an absolute powerhouse. Now, this journey definitely wasn't smooth sailing. Between 1995 and 2000, we saw the invention phase, basically the wild west of simple retail and euphoric, idealistic visions that, as we know, ultimately ended in the famous dot-com crash. Then the dust settled between 2001 and 2006 during what we call the consolidation phase, where traditional corporate giants entered the space and really sobered up the market. Finally, around 2007, we entered the reinvention phase. This was fueled by social networks and a brand new piece of hardware that changed absolutely everything. And of course, that piece of technology was the smartphone. The data shows how its introduction in 2007 triggered a massive, undeniable explosion in e-commerce revenues. Before 2007, growth was, steady and respectable, but the exact moment the internet moved from a stationary desk in some office to a device sitting in literally everyone's pocket, that trajectory bent sharply upward. Retail, services, and digital content revenues just skyrocketed as consumer behavior changed practically overnight. A complete paradigm shift in accessibility. Which brings us to our final section. The revolution just began. Looking forward, everything we've discussed so far, it's really just the foundation for the next massive wave of digital transformation. Today, an incredible 93% of Americans access the internet via mobile devices. I mean, we are watching the landscape become entirely social, hypermobile, and so deeply integrated into our physical lives. Think about platforms like Uber or DoorDash. They're using vast global digital infrastructure to fulfill highly localized physical tasks entirely on demand. And as Web 2.0 applications and newer digital models continue to mature, the very structural frameworks of these businesses are basically being reinvented right before our eyes. Considering the exponential pace of these tech superpowers, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. What is e-commerce going to look like in 2030? As artificial intelligence deeply integrates into how we personalize our shopping, and as entirely new digital realities take shape, how will the basic human act of exchanging value actually evolve? It's definitely a fascinating question to ponder. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into the foundations of the digital economy. Keep analyzing, keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.